Hello and welcome back to Indalo. Well, if you've just joined us, I'm in the middle of actually laying down the cork bed for my fiddle yard, and I've got quite a way while I've been off camera in terms of actually laying it all out, because it is about spacing. It needs to flow. You've got to make sure that there's no creaks or little gaps where you could have any derailments. So what I'm going to do now is turn you around. You can actually see what I've been getting up to. Okay, you can probably see here I've got quite a lot done already in terms of the fiddle yard. Now these first three here are already in and they are connected up. I'll just pin them down for now, as I do all of my track. When I'm laying it out, I always just use drawing pins. I drill the holes with my trusted pin vise that I've found now, and then I just pin it, because it allows me, if I need to move it rather than actually gluing it or putting tacks in it at this point. So 1, 2 main platform lines and a reserve line on the terminus station. Then from this point here is the 6-lane fiddle yard. So if I can remove this, it'll probably give you a better indication. That goes there, and then these two come over here. So I was just about to lay this cork here down. I cut it to length and making sure that it all fits. So how it's going to look loosely, you're going to have a connection across there. Again, I always use these gauges as well to actually make sure that all of the tracks are not just parallel, as you see there, but also it keeps them a nice distance from each other. Always use your straighteners as well. You can pick these up cheap from eBay. I mean, these are a cheap set, they're not an expensive set, but I do use them a lot, especially when I'm doing a lot of track laying like this. Now obviously, because this one is actually a lot closer, obviously that's the smaller, narrower gauge, because it's coming off of this Y point here, as is this. There's a bigger gap in between the two centre lines. So if I was to put that on there, that's perfectly level all the way through there. And I've got to do the same thing here. So if I start from this point, you will actually see, if I was to connect it, if I was to connect this here, this turnout, I just actually took it apart because I was going to lay the road bed of the cork. You can always use, again, these gauges to give you an idea of how wide it should be apart. So there you go. So that now, again, if I run that through there, that would all be parallel, going all the way through there. I know this is not connected, but I think you get the idea. I mean, it was just really just to lay it out so you could see it. But if you look down here now, you'll see that all these lines are running parallel. And I have been testing it as well with the coaches, just to make sure they're not touching. These are the two closest ones here. And this is going to be, if I show you the plan again, so where this coach is here now is here. This is where I'm probably going to, if I can get you on there we go. So I'm probably going to have about 4 coaches along here, and that is where this is. So there'll probably be 1, 2, 3 and 4 all the way to the end. All wagons. Now I have actually tested it as well. I was up late last night testing this and quite happy with how it works. Now I'm probably going to do this, and it's probably going to derail, and I'm probably going to look a right numpty, but let's just see how it goes. That's open, that's open, that's open, that's open. So if I was to take this around here, you'll see how lovely and smooth that goes. So if we run all the way from the end, let's see if it works. Look at that, how smooth that is. And that's really how it should be. Going all the way through with no issues, no problems. That really is a good mark of how well all of this is connected. You're obviously going to have a little bit of a gap because obviously in some points you're using the plastic fish plates here, the rail joiners. So there's always going to be a gap in some of them, like there is here. And it's only a millimetre. But I think that the smoothness of it is very, very important. So now if I was to open up that, well, let me put it back first. And then open up that again. That should take me now on the other side here. Let's see how we get on. Smooth, okay? So that's really how it all is. So coming off of this curve here into a Y point, then from that one Y point, it then goes into two Y points. So I'm getting into 4 lanes. And then from here, I drop down into a right hand, and then a left hand, and then a left hand and a right hand. So I've got another 2 lanes running in parallel. So this piece of track I've just cut here, just about to put the cork down for it, is this here, coming off of, hopefully you can see that, coming off of that turn off, it's there. So that's coming all the way across there. So it's looking quite good. I mean, I've got to get this end sorted as well. I'm waiting on some more points to come to actually really finish this off, because I want to put all electrofrog points in as well. For these ones I've already done so far, you'll see like over here, I've already pre-drilled the holes for the Cobalt IP digital turnout motor and the one for the frog as well. But I took that out because I didn't have enough at the time, so I've got more in order, because I put it here because I wanted a right hand to come off. I wanted to get all this sorted. Now the next thing I've got to do, because all this is actually going to be, or can be, removable, I've got to make a cut just there. I haven't made it yet, but I've left the gap for the cut. So you can see there's probably underneath, probably about 1 millimetre, and I've marked there. So I'm going to get my Dremel out later. But I know obviously after this point I'm going to have to probably power that. Definitely got to power this all the way through here. So I've got to get to grips once I've put all this cork down here and roughly laid it out, where I'm actually going to put the droppers for all of these lanes. I'll put droppers on all of them, because obviously after the points, because I'm using insulated rail joiners here, that's going to be, I need power. That's going to be dead after there. Even once you switch it, it will be dead. So I need to put on all of these lanes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lanes, power all the way through. And also, you might see here, if I can focus in, I've actually put little dots because these are the blocks. These are the blocks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 blocks. 11 blocks, sorry, because there's one down here. Okay, so there's going to be 11. I've got going to have block detection on all of this, so I know if there's a locomotive in a particular area and I'm using the ESU decoders version 5 and above, you can actually detect what locomotive it is as well. It'll show you on your ECOS. So if I take you over to the ECOS here, so on the layout I'll be able to see, focus on that, there we go, I'll be able to see on here exactly where the block detection is. So for example, this is the inner, see this here, the inner section, that is that. So it comes off of that turn off, which is over there, and then it goes into all of this yard here. Obviously I've got all the lights set up here, so if I can turn the lights on and off, So if I was to show you that now in another area, like for example a station, this station, the lights come on and off. So you can do everything really from your command center here. And when I get the block detection set up as well on the third page, because obviously this is the main branch and branch line, the next section, the goods yard, or I'll have the fiddle yard, sorry, which will be the next page laid out, and it will look exactly like on the ECOS system. It'll look like that, but obviously I will actually have all of this that will actually be block detection to show you what train is there, if there's a train there, so another train can't go in and you can't have any crashes. So I've got to get to work on that. So as I say, put in, I'm using the bottom rail because you only put a wire for the block detection on one rail. Now these three, say for the station, are already done. So I've got the red and black, and I've got the red and black, where is it? I think it's a little bit further up there. And this one here, this blue one, is for the block detection. So I've got block detection, as it says there, B3, and there's B4 there. And it comes down underneath, you see here these wires. You can see that. Probably need some light underneath here. I'll actually show you. Trying to find light. Light. Give me light. Here we go. Bear with. I'm getting some light. Okay. Is that better? Yes, it is. Right, so you see these blue wires here. So they're for the block detection. So I've got one on the first branch line, second line, and the third line. They all then go through, and I'm going to connect them up over there to a terminal block, and then take them to the decoder underneath and then back into the ESU. But how I'm going to connect them, I've actually got this. Because this board here I can lift out. See, I've got the connections here, and here and here I've got four dowels, so it locates it, and it's strong. You see, if I move this, the whole thing moves, so it's solid. But so I can actually pull all this apart, and the wiring and the bus wire and everything else, especially for the detection. I've bought one of these. Now let me quickly open up this and I'll show you exactly what it is. They're really useful because it keeps it nice and clean. I could have run these blue wires again. I could have run them probably all the way underneath, putting them along the side here, all the way over to my decoder that I'm going to have probably just underneath here, because it's got to be very close, because there's a wire that plugs into the back of the ESU. But because I want to detach this board, sometimes I've bought one of these. Now you can get these on Amazon. You can put up to 12 of wires in, and it allows you, so I can have this, if you can see this over here. Is that right? Yeah. So this will actually be on this, if you imagine, underneath like that, and this part I can actually just plug in. So it's going to be underneath like that. So I put all the wires in here, and then that's going to go around all nicely bunched together, and I'll put all zip ties around them, probably put them to the inside of here, all the way up to the decoder that I've got, and I'll show you that in a moment. Not yet, but in a moment. And the ones that you see hanging down will all go in here, and then all I can do is just push that into there like that. And you've got screws as well that you can actually really lock it down if you need to, but it's that easy, and all you need to do, put it apart. These are okay for single wires, just to connect single wires of reasonably low voltage. But this I thought was a really good thing, because all I need to do is just make a little slit a little hole for it like that, and it'll sit flush on that. You can see this, I can show you. I've left a gap, you see here, so it's going to go into there like that. So I need to drill some holes probably and use a jigsaw so it'll sit nice and flush like that. And then on this side there, all these wires, when I run them all, will go into there, and I'll just connect it, and if when I want to take this board off, I just pull it out. And this is the bus wire, and again this is the same. I've got these on these jumper clips here. I just pull that out. That's off the main bus that goes around the main board. I can just pull them out, pull that out, and then this board is completely detached. I can take it and move it. The reason I wanted to do that, you might think, well, if it's going to be here, why don't you just have it permanently and fixed? I've got a couple of anchor braces to the wall, one there and one along the back, but I wanted the ability to remove this board if I ever needed to actually get into there, move this out, or if I want to move it anytime, I can. I've got that flexibility because this is also on wheels. The actual legs here, I've put them on wheels, so I can see this moving a little bit. I can move them, so there's 6 legs, and I've got them on wheels, so I can move this out, move it around if I need to. That's the flexibility I've got with this. So that's just a bit of an update of what I'm doing at the moment in the fiddle yard, laying down the cork bed. I've got to get now some PVA and just start putting it all down and lay this down, weight it, obviously without the track, but I've got some stones as well from the garden, lay it down overnight, and then I can come back and then I can actually put all this down with some pins and make sure it's all level and it's parallel, and I can test it. But I've still got a lot more work to do though, because I've got all the holes to drill for the point motors and the frogs as well. The frog wires has got to go through. So I think I've got approximately, I can count them, I think there's something like about 13 or 14 in this area. About 13 or 14 points, including these Y points. There's 3 here, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, there's one over here, 13, maybe 13, 14. So there's a lot of holes to drill, not just for the point motors that can obviously turn the points, open and close them, but also for the frog as well. So I've got to do all that, and then with each of them, as you know, you have to extend the frog. So because obviously they just come with, turn this one over, a little wire like this that is never normally long enough, so I need to connect a little bit of a green wire to that, because I need to take it back to roughly where the point motor is here. I've got one of them over here. So this is all upside down now, right? So if this point motor was in there, that to get into here isn't long enough, so you have to extend it a little bit. So when this is all upside down, if you can imagine upside down, I don't know how I can hold that up, and then the point can actually be fired using the ESU control system, like it is on all of the main board here. I can show you that now and demonstrate it. So if we was to look at, say, let's turn out here for example. So I can actually activate that. That is this one here. So if I just touch that, you'll see this turnout move. There we go, and back again. You can actually change the speed on these as well, but I like it reasonably slow. It gives it more of a realistic open and closing of a real point. So that's really how it will look and go in terms of that. There's my 125. So there we go. So I'm going to get on with that now off camera, sticking down this road bed, and I will catch up with you very, very soon. Please excuse the date that's coming up here. It's not 2017, it is currently August 2025 if you're looking at this video. I don't know why, but on this particular camera I don't know how to change the date, but it's not 2017. Anyway, if you're liking what you're seeing and you're learning stuff, please like, subscribe and share, and I will be back in contact with you when I've got a lot more done and give you some more top tips from Indalo Model. Hello and welcome back to Indalo. Well, overnight I've let the roadbed caulk dry overnight, and I'm now in the process of actually drilling all the holes for the droppers and the block detection. So let me spin you around and I'll show you what I've been doing. So here we have it. I've actually marked a lot of the holes, or drilled them already. I've marked them for the point motors here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Obviously how I do it is just really put the point down, and if you just put dots either side of the pinhole and then put a cross in the middle, and that's typically then where that ends up. I've also obviously drilled for the frogs as well, and in certain places along the layout, the dropper wires and I'll put D there for detection, block detection. So that section is going to be detected, as is a number of others. Again here, the droppers, block detection, do the bigger holes here, that's for the frog, and all the way along here I've been drilling holes for the droppers, or if I'm having here the block detection as well, to be dropped down. So what I'm going to get ahead on do now is just drill the holes for the point motor. Now what I tend to use is a 10 mil, 8 or 10 mil bit, wood bit, and just actually put it right on the center line there and just drill through. But before you do that, always make sure underneath, take your hand, put underneath, make sure that it's not going to hinder anything. And it's very important as well, when I did this layout, I was making sure the cross members, and there's one here, was not actually going through where the point motors are going to be. Now this cross member here, the support, goes across here. It's okay if it goes across the point at the other end, but not at the motor end. So you don't want a cross member right here. I've had it before, it's a nightmare. Couldn't move the layout around, had to put a surface mount point motor. So I tend to actually, when I do the layout, is actually put these cross beams in areas where it's not going to be where the point motor needs to be. So I'm going to get ahead on now and drill these holes, so excuse the noise. What I tend to do as well, not just drill a hole straight down, because the actual needle of the point motor moves typically left to right, I actually just give it a little wiggle, like that, both sides, so it's got that little bit of longevity, the flexibility, and not just a straight hole. So you want to see me do all the rest, so I'm going to get on and do the rest, and I'll come back to you after I've done it. Okay, so off camera I've actually gone ahead and drilled all the holes. I've just laid everything back here just so you can get an idea how it's going to look. So all the holes are now being drilled for the point motors and for the frogs as well. All I need to do now is take all of these points, turnouts, and convert them to electrofrog points with the electrofrog extension, so it will reach the point motor. So that's how it's going to typically look. I'm going to go ahead now and off camera and do all of these droppers and all the points, frogs as well, get all them done, and all of the droppers and the detection, all the wires in, so then I can connect it all ready for the point motors that goes underneath.